So why the huge swing? What's going on? Well, some people, like Sunny Hostin and radio host Victor Martinez, think that it has to do with identity. Let's take a look.
In the wake of Donald Trump's 2024 victory, the American political map doesn't just look different, it looks unrecognizable. What was once considered safe Democratic Party territory is now cracking wide open, and those cracks are spreading fast. But here's the twist. While party insiders scramble to cook up excuses, Anna Kasparian isn't fazed. She's not buying the spin, she's not swallowing the talking points, and she's certainly not letting the Democrats off the hook. Anna Kasparian unleashes a blistering critique of the party and its obsession with woke theatrics, ripping into how they've managed to alienate the very minority voters they used to claim as their backbone. From torching Kamala Harris's disastrous campaign, which collapsed under the weight of its own emptiness, to shredding the media elites who refuse to face reality, she lays out a brutal diagnosis. Democrats are clinging to identity politics like a life raft, but it's a raft full of holes. Instead of meeting voters where they actually are, they double down on slogans, hashtags, and lectures, and Anna Kasparian's warning is blunt. Unless the left faces reality, they're not just going to lose elections, they're going to lose the trust of the very communities they once promised to fight for. And make no mistake, that loss is already happening.
Several minority groups, including blacks and Latinos, did, as Donald Trump predicted, move over to his column.
It is significant, but not really surprising. Donald Trump, I believe, and it's speaking to a number of Republicans and Democrats, has a unique appeal to Latino voters. Most Latino voters are working class folks. And despite his crude sense of humor, despite the jokes that he makes, despite the exaggerations about his wealth and his exploits, for folks that from where I'm from and folks that I've grown up around, that resonates.
Well, Democratic operatives are desperately trying to figure out why Latino voters, in particular, swung dramatically toward Donald Trump, despite historically voting for Democrats. And they're doing this after the election took place, even though polls were indicating for over a year that this trend was happening, that the Democrats were bleeding support among Latino voters. So look, we'll get back to the very obvious underlying reasons in just a second. But first, I think it's worth looking at these record-breaking numbers, okay? What the results of the election was, what the results were, I should say, in regard to the Latino vote. So take a look at this graphic. So it shows that the majority, around 53% of Latino voters, still did vote for the Democratic candidate Kamala Harris in this election. But that is significantly lower than the 65% that voted for Joe Biden in 2020. So just bleeding support. Meanwhile, Trump did grow support from 32% to 45%.
The 2024 election results didn't just sting Democrats, they rattled their system to its core. A political earthquake ripped through their so-called reliable base, and the epicenter was the Latino vote. For decades, Democrats assumed Latino voters were theirs by default. But this year, the numbers told a different story, and Anna Kasparian is spelling it out without mercy. Donald Trump captured 55% of Latino voters in Texas, a historic leap from his 2020 numbers. Entire border counties, once Democratic strongholds, flipped red, fueled by frustration with the border crisis and a growing sense that Washington simply doesn't care. Even more shocking, Latino men led the charge, swinging from a 23-point margin for Joe Biden in 2020 to handing Donald Trump a 10-point advantage in 2024. That isn't just a shift, it's a political landslide. Anna Kasparian argues this happened not because of identity politics, but because Donald Trump, despite his bombastic style, spoke to working-class concerns: jobs, safety, and stability. Meanwhile, Democrats tripped over their own narratives. She singles out Sunny Hostin, who dismissed Kamala Harris's failure as the fault of chauvinistic Latino men. Anna Kasparian tears this excuse apart, calling it lazy, insulting, and a complete dodge of the real issues. Instead of listening to voters, Democrats scapegoat them. And as Anna Kasparian warns, that kind of arrogance isn't just tone-deaf, it's political suicide.
I hear what they're saying. The Latino, Mexican culture in particular, so machismo. They never vote for a woman. That's why Mexico currently has a woman president.
Weird.
Oops. Oops.
Weird.
Oops.
Yeah.
Okay. But go ahead. Blame your own voters, you morons. So now you're going to blame not the person who ran the campaign. By the way, why don't they do that? Because Sunny Hostin and almost everybody on TV is great personal friends with Kamala Harris and Joe Biden and all those guys. So it can't possibly be beloved Kamala Harris's fault. That's why yesterday we showed you clips of these same people saying that Kamala Harris ran a flawless campaign.
Flawless. Queen Latifah.
And Queen Latifah was on her side. And normally Queen Latifah doesn't endorse people.
Normally.
Nevertheless, they ran this perfect campaign. I mean, she happened to lose. But other than that, she got Queen Latifah. So now these morons are saying, well, I got a great idea for the next election. Why don't we punch our own voters in the face and smear them so they'll hate us even more? Okay, because that'll probably help us in the next election.
I think that might be a better strategy than Kamala Harris's brilliant strategy of running with a neocon like Liz Cheney. Let's see how it works out. It's just, look, I get it. I get that it's difficult to do self-reflection. I get that it's difficult to own up to mistakes, misjudgments. I totally get that. With that said, no one is entitled to a damn thing. Okay, no Democratic candidate is entitled to a damn thing. Even if the other guy is Satan himself, okay? The Democrat has to earn votes. And the fact that they feel so entitled, they feel so entitled that after losing the election, they're just lashing out at the electorate. That's all they've been doing. That is literally all I've seen from the Democratic Party. It's crazy.
By the way, look, I've said it on this show. I'm about to go and say it on other shows. Here's who I blame for the loss. Kamala Harris. Isn't that weird that almost no one on TV is saying that? Like literally saying the words out loud, Kamala Harris is at fault. You know why? Everyone on TV is craving access to the powerful or is personal friends with her or are such elites they think the idea of criticizing the actual candidate is unthinkable. Unthinkable. She's so important. She's a celebrity, she's famous, she's powerful. You can't just, that sounds outrageous to blame Kamala Harris. That's offensive. But blaming all Latino men, not offensive. Interesting.
Now,
and remember, by the way, the Republicans are the racists.
If you want to know why Democrats are bleeding support, just look at their playbook. The Democratic Party's strategy, or lack of one, isn't just flawed, it's self-sabotage. And commentators like Anna Kasparian and Cenk Uygur aren't holding back. Their critique is simple. Voters care about real issues: border security, rising costs, crime, cultural stability. But instead of solutions, Democrats fall back on their favorite trick: labeling anyone who breaks away as racist, sexist, or backwards. Anna Kasparian argues this isn't strategy, it's malpractice. Every time they dismiss legitimate grievances, they drive more voters out the door. And the 2024 results prove it. Anna Kasparian also takes aim at the media, blasting elite outlets for shielding Democratic leaders instead of telling the truth. Kamala Harris's collapse should have been a wake-up call, but the press refused to hold her accountable. Instead, they blamed the voters, yes, even minority voters, for being too sexist or too racist to appreciate her. Anna Kasparian mocks the absurdity. At this rate, Democrats will end up accusing everyone who disagrees of bigotry until they're left screaming into an empty room. For Anna Kasparian, the big picture is clear. Democrats are obsessed with performance politics, hashtags, soundbites, virtue signaling, while ignoring the working class and minority communities they claim to represent. That disconnect isn't a small gap, it's a canyon. And unless they change course fast, 2024 won't just be a loss, it'll be the beginning of a collapse.